All right.
All right, guys, welcome to Hypnos channel. I'm back here with Timothy Rab, close friend, one of my best friends. And I think we're really just going to have a roundtable kind of discussion on sports cards. I really liked what I did yesterday when I put out a video about some of the soccer plays I'm making, the mailbag, what I opened up. And I think I really want to introduce kind of my subscribers to what's going on in the sports card market. What are sports cards, how a couple of high schoolers got into it, what are the plays we're making, what are some of the profits that are actually going on, and why sports cards are in a dip and why it's a great time to buy. So I'm super excited to be here with Timmy. He got in right when I got in. We've been working very closely. He's a great friend and one of my best friends. So super excited about that. And I think just to kick us off, Timmy, why did you get in sports cards? Kind of what spoke out to you just as a sports fan when you hear the phrase sports cards, really?
Yeah, I think I really got in. You called me up one night and you talked to me about it. You're like, I think this is a great opportunity. And immediately I latched onto it. There was no doubt in my mind. I mean, when I was little, I used to go to the card store with my dad, and he collected cards when he was young. It was a huge thing back when he was growing up. So I really, really got into it pretty spontaneously, pretty instantaneously. I got right into it. I'm a huge sports fan. I follow football religiously. I used to follow baseball a lot. I'm getting back into it. Basketball, not as much, but I do follow it.
Yeah.
Um, and just being able to follow the players I want and kind of, I see some players that are underrated, and I might buy one of their cards because I see the potential they have. Yeah, just
I
just
think,
watching sports, I think
yeah,
really got me into it.
I think what really got me into it and what made me call you up was I think there's always a time as a sports fan where I'm having a conversation with Timmy and it might be, I think this player is going to pan out and he doesn't. I think sports cards is a great place where I'm a N'Keal Harry fan, someone who hasn't panned out yet, but I do think he actually will pan out. And I think sports cards is a place where you can pick up players that you really believe in and your friends don't really believe in. I know Timmy likes Daniel Jones just as a
Yeah.
Giants fan. He might not be picking up stuff, but maybe tell us about your Jordan Love collection. A lot of people love Aaron Rodgers, but why are you picking up Jordan Loves? I mean, this is just a perfect example of someone you believe in that maybe other people wouldn't believe in.
Yeah, I think Jordan Love is one of the purchases I've had, which most people hate on. A lot of news, a lot of buzz has come out about Jordan Love. A lot of people saying he can't play, like they're not trading Rodgers. They would have traded him if he could play. But seeing Jordan Love out of college, he had the same kind of skill set as Patrick Mahomes. He was a strong arm gunslinger with a pick problem.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it can be corrected at the professional level. Obviously, I don't think he's doing that well in training camp, but I think he has the skill set to do really well, especially with that Matt LaFleur offense with Devontae Adams and Aaron Jones. I think is staying on for another 5 years. So I think there's a really good base, a good line there. I think he has a lot of weapons and a lot of potential if they start drafting some receivers. I just see a lot of potential there and kind of the same mold that Patrick Mahomes was in. Obviously, he had Tyreek and Kelsey, but I just see a big opportunity for Love to really exceed.
Yeah, I think football is a really underrated play. I think I've only talked about soccer on this channel so far, but there's so many sports cards in basically every sport. I think football, it's been in a pretty big dip right now just because it's not on TV. You're not seeing it publicized. It's not everywhere. But if you go and you buy in those dips, I think it's a great time to buy, especially because quarterbacks really rule the market. So you can go after your guy. You can go after your Trey Lance. You can go after your Trevor Lawrence. You can go after your Joe Burrow. I got a Joe Burrow mosaic card right here. You can go after your, Jordan Loves, someone who I might not believe in that much. I think he can play for sure, but someone who Timmy believes in. I think that's great. I think that's what allows you to make plays in the hobby that I really like. And I think one big play that I've really admired is, I was biking to the basketball court early July, and Timmy called me and he said he was going to hop on some Fernando Tatis's. And I really agreed with him, but I didn't pull the trigger. I think, Timmy, how can you kind of like talk to the viewers about what made you pick up Tatis in a low? He hasn't really blown up. He's blown up on the field, but sports cards wise, just because the market's a little bit down, his cards haven't blown up, but he's the greatest young talent in baseball right now. What made you buy him just a year ago when his cards weren't as heavily sought after as other people?
Yeah, I mean, I was getting into the hobby, and modern cards were really on the come up. When it was first starting to blow up, when Gary Vee was talking about it, he's talking about young stars, and I looked up. I mean, it's really easy to find young prospects. You can pretty much just look up like best young prospects in baseball, and I think that's an area with a lot of growth, but also a little bit of downside because of how much these cards are printed,
Yeah.
which really hinder their ability to explode and
So
value.
what does
So
that mean, Timmy? What does printed mean to maybe some people who are just getting
yeah,
in, or I know there are some people who know what that means, but what's the population? What's the real meaning of population prints? Yeah,
yeah,
stuff like that.
yeah. So this is the Fernando Tatis card. This is like his sought after card. This is Topps Chrome 2019 card 203 and a PSA 10. So
Great card.
print population, basically population means there are 15,000 of these cards, whereas kind of the card in the hobby, like a Michael Jordan, there's only like 400 of them. So if you say it's all supply and demand, it's all economics. So everybody's going to want, or a lot of people are going to want a Fernando Tatis Jr. and a lot of people are going to want a Michael Jordan. It's a lot harder to find a Michael Jordan than it is to find a Fernando Tatis. So naturally the price of the Jordan is going to be a lot higher. Now these Tatis cards are about at like $290 right now. And he's a young player. He has a lot of potential. But he's not a legend. So that's kind of the issue with these modern cards.
Yeah.
The kids are really young. They have, a lot of potential, but they have to actually get there. Like Albert Pujols is probably, or let's say Mike Trout.
Yeah.
He is probably, he's the best Hall of Famer that's kind of been in this high print run per se, but not.
That's still playing.
Not even. Yeah, that's still playing, and his cards are like $6,000. But it's really hard. It's going to be really hard for these cards to get very expensive, just because there's so many of them. And
yeah, what I think is really cool here is I've got one of my favorite cards. It's a U.S. Soccer right here. You can see right here. You can't probably see because it's backwards, obviously, because of the screen, but this is out of 99. And I think, like Timmy said, when you pick up cards that are out of 25, out of 99, out of 299, they tell you how much is made. If 100 people want a Cameron Carter Vickers card when USA plays in the World Cup, they see him starting at center back constantly, that card's going to go up because people are going to outbid themselves. I think something that's a real issue is you see players like Luka and Ja Morant, they have these massive production and they're able to get by it because they're such good players. But the issue is players like RJ Barrett, players like, other middle players, Marvin Bagley. That's not really a good example, but players who are pretty good, but have these massive production, they really struggle to be able to kind of break out. I think that's a major issue with production that you have to know. You have to check out the pop reports. It's quite simple. You can just type in psa.com. It should tell you the pop reports for a specific player. Even Joe Burrow, Joe Burrow rookies are produced massively. The thing with that is you got to think, I think Joe Burrow is such a good player. He can get past that, but maybe, Zach Wilson can't get past that. Trey Lance can't get past that because they're being massively produced. which is why production is so important. I'm gonna pivot here and then go to baseball a little more. What's your take? Me and Timmy have both purchased Juan Soto's, a great young talent in baseball, but baseball is being centered around these three big superstars, Tatis, Soto, and Acuna, these young studs. Timmy doesn't like Acuna,
I hate
but
Acuna.
they're all young studs. I think, Timmy, do you think there's potential to maybe get some lower rookies who could have the potential to go off because all this attention is focused on these three big superstars? Are some rookies getting lost in the mix, you think?
I haven't been buying a lot recently. But a guy I really like, he's hurt this year, is Eloy Jimenez on the White Sox.
Yeah.
The White Sox are going to be a good baseball team for
Perfect time to buy too if he's hurt.
Yeah, he's hurt right now. He's kind of overshadowed by Tim Anderson and Jose Abreu on that great young White Sox team with Luis Robert as well. I'm not a big Luis Robert fan, just because I think the hype is a little too high on him. But I think a guy like Eloy Jimenez, he's a true slugger, just a really good hitter, and I think there's a lot of potential there because I see the White Sox going pretty far in the playoffs, and
Yeah.
playoffs are very important for sports cards. Cards really go up in the playoffs.
I think what's cool is that Timmy was definitely a baseball fan when we first got into this, and I was more basketball and football. But, joining like a fantasy baseball league with my cousin and doing all these things, it makes you focus on stuff more, which means that it's so much more important that you buy what you like. There's no way I didn't buy any baseball in the first like 2 months. Then I picked up some Sotos just because I knew how good he was going to be. And then I would just check Washington National box scores. But now that I watch more fantasy baseball, now I'm more invested in others players like Wander Franco, a debut coming out now. I think you have to know what you like. You have to know what you're interested in and what you're putting your time in. And so that's why I think, joining a fantasy baseball league has made me get into more and more baseball. And Wander Franco, he's being touted as like, another top, he's only 20 years old, top superstar. The hype is out of the roof for this guy. Timmy, do you think this is a potential for a major, people might lose a lot of money on this guy? A lot of his cards are going for $6,000, some refractors, PSA 10. It's getting crazy out there. What is the problem with buying high on a prospect who hasn't played in the MLB yet? What are the issues with that?
I mean, there's a lot of issues. I just think basically these Wander Francos, I'm going to go off his Bowman Chrome PSA 10, which I think is selling for about $300-$400.
Yeah.
And a guy like Fernando Tatis, that same card selling for like 900. So you're taking this prospect who's never taken an at bat in the major leagues, and you're basically, with that $300 price tag, you're forecasting him to be very good, because only the top players, what you'll learn in sports cards is the top players will have very expensive cards, and then everybody else not so much. So they're forecasting this guy who's been a prospect, highly touted for like, I think 2 or 3 years. And they're just projecting him to be that guy in the majors. And if he doesn't get a hit in his first major league game, if he doesn't perform to the expectations, the card's going to fall off.
Yeah.
A guy like Tatis, I mean, the dude missed 17 games and he's almost leading the majors in home runs. Like, Tatis is going to go out there and produce, and his card is like $300. In my opinion, Tatis is a proven star. I mean, at least for 2 years, 2-3 years. I think he can be much better. But there's just so many question marks with these prospects. I know Bobby Witt Jr. is probably going to get called up sometime later in this year, another shortstop prospect. There's just so many question marks, and I get if you really believe in a player, I would buy a lower card. I wouldn't buy the PSA 10. I just think there's too much risk there.
Yeah.
I would buy a high quality raw card.
Mhm.
I guess we have to explain a little bit about PSA.
Yeah,
How that
definitely get
works.
into that. And then I think the big issue, just to add on, is that Mike Trout comes into the league and he batted, I want to say 220, which is below MLB average. Mike Trout is the greatest player in baseball right now. He's injured. He's the greatest baseball player right now. He comes in the league, he bats 220. It's a lot of expectations for 20-year-olds, 21-year-olds, 22-year-olds. That being said, there's always that hype that's just the unknown. What if he comes in, hits 2 homers? That card's going out, out of this galaxy. That card's blowing up. And I think just to build on what Timmy said, it's really important that, PSA 10 is a grading company. So PSA is a grading company. The highest grade you can get is a 10. So if you buy a Wander Franco PSA 10 of his rookie card, yeah, boom, right there, Gem Mint 10, that's going to go up crazy if he homers. If he doesn't, that card's going to go down. So how do you make a safer bet? Like you said, you buy a raw card. This is a raw card compared to a graded card. This is going to be way more cheaper solely because it hasn't been authenticated. It's authentic, but it hasn't been graded on how valuable it is. This is unknown. You don't know the complete value based on the condition. So you don't know the condition, but the value is going to be much lower. So Wander Franco's of this card graded are about, I want to say 300, right, Timmy? 300 PSA 10. This right here is $25. So that's kind of the difference in raw cards, right? You can get in lower. That's what a lot of what me and Timmy did. If you like a guy, but you're still a little bullish on him, you can get in at a lower price. So Timmy, I want to say you picked up the Vlads at a raw, or was it someone else?
I did pick up some raw Vlads, but I'm glad you mentioned that, because one thing about sports cards is there's so many different types of cards. So if you look at these two cards, these are my Daniel Joneses.
Yeah.
So this one right here is Panini Select. Panini's the brand that makes pretty much all football and basketball cards. And then this one here is a Panini Prism. So generally, Prism is the most sought after brand of card. And then Select is number 2 generally. So there's so many different types of cards. So the Vladimir Guerreros that I bought, the 2 cards, one was a chrome card, and one was a base card. So the Wander Franco card that you have is paper.
Yeah.
So this Trevor Lawrence is a paper card. So it's called like crap wax, they call it in the hobby.
Yeah.
I like paper cards. I'm fine with paper. Everybody hates paper cards. And then this Henry Ruggs is a chrome card. It has this like chrome, I don't know what to call it, paper. It's a harder card.
Yeah. It's a different type of, it's plastic, right? It's just a different material, but that makes it much more valuable.
So much more valuable. Solely
because paper, it just doesn't hold the same value that chrome or plastic has. It doesn't look as nice. It doesn't look as nice. A lot of this is based on an aesthetic, for sure, based on cards. And I think, for different sports, it's just different stuff, like Timmy said, there's Prism, there's Select, there's Optic, and there's Mosaic for football. So this is Mosaic right here, Joe Burrow. You saw the Prism Select. Optic, I have an Optic right here. This is Kevin Huerter Optic right here. You see Optic. It's a rookie card. So there's just all kinds of different stuff. Baseball has Topps Chrome, Topps. There's a difference. This Soto is Topps. It's not Topps Chrome right now. The Topps Chrome is more valuable than this at this moment. Right, Timmy?
Yeah, I remember looking at the prices. This is a while back. That Soto now is since the market's in the dip, I think that Soto's hanging around like 160 now.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
But I remember the Sotos were 275 when the base, and then the Topps Chrome was 550. So
Yeah.
it's pretty much double for some of these cards. And then I know the Wander Franco, the Bowman paper, which Luke has, that in a 10 is like 125.
Yeah.
And then that in a Chrome card, PSA 10, is 300.
Yeah, that's the 300. So it's the different product, different material. It makes a difference, That's why, we haven't stressed this just to start, just because we're trying to talk about how we got in the community, how we bought cards, but you have to understand what you're buying. You can't just type in who your favorite player is. You can't just type in, like Ray Allen. You can't just type in Jason Tatum rookie card. You're going to get a lot of bad cards that aren't valuable that you're going to overpay for. So this is why you go on eBay, you type in Prism, you type in Select, you look at sold auctions, you look at completed auctions, you see what stuff is going for so you don't overpay and stuff. And you can still get caught, me and Timmy both have taken a loss on the Soto. We haven't sold it, but it is down $90 for us right now. I would say Giannis, last year, this is probably one of my most prized possessions. Giannis, rookie card, NBA Hoops, another product in basketball, PSA 9, so not PSA 10, which is the top, but 9. They were going around 500, 600. I sell it then. I make a huge profit. Right now, they're 210. But it's just tough to gauge, and you're going to take losses. Timmy had some Tyler Heroes. I don't know if you want to elaborate on that, but I took some losses on my Giannis. I haven't sold them, but stuff's going to go down. That's just the nature of the market.
Yeah, I would say, so with the Tyler Heroes, I bought Tyler Hero before the playoffs last year. And I bought 4 cards, I think each. I think I bought 4 for like probably $100.
It's a good deal. It was a great deal.
Yeah, it was great. And I bought a green card, which is one of the variations. We'll talk about variations in a sec.
Yeah, there's so much stuff. It's crazy.
Yeah, the cards are crazy. Anyway, this is when I'm getting into it for the first time. I'm kind of learning as I go. And I buy the Tyler Heroes, and then he plays really well in the playoffs, and they're starting to go up and up and up. He's the first player in NBA history to have, I think, 10 points in every single playoff game or something like that. Anyway, his cards are skyrocketing. The base card is at like $50 per, and the green card is at like 65. And me being naive, this is in the semifinals. This was in the Eastern Conference Finals. Yep. Luke tells me to sell. He's like, dude, these cards are going crazy right now. Even if they go to the finals, they're going to dip because hype just dies down.
It does.
It's really weird. I sold the Tom Brady card before the Super Bowl, and the card dipped right after they won the Super Bowl, which is the weirdest thing ever.
Yeah.
So I didn't sell the cards. And now I'm sitting on these Tyler Heroes, which are probably collectively worth like $10, $15. And I could have made like $40, $30 on every card. Yeah. I could have made like $120, but I sat on them. So my advice would be, when a serious profit comes with like an unproven guy like Tyler Hero, like one of your flip cards, just take the money and run.
Yeah, I think a major thing is you get someone like Tyler Hero in the bubble, which is such a unique circumstance. The bubble was great for the fans, but they weren't in person, but it was nice to watch as a basketball fan, to be honest. It was a very cool experience, and he keeps topping his performance night after night after night. And then I want to say against us, my Celtics, which was horrible, he put up 37, I believe it was 37 points, and his cards were going up, like Timmy said, $50, $60, $70 raw. Not graded, which is absurd.
Unheard of.
But the next game, not even investors, just the market expects for him to go for 38. You got to keep topping these performance for the price to go up on this major hype train. And when he puts in 12 points, which is a good showing, his prices are going to go down. Ultimately, they lost the finals and, his prices went down. There's not too much you can do. This season, he didn't play well at all. A lot of people are making jokes and memes about him, but he's still a very good player. But the market decides, if you can't keep putting up that production, your card's going to go down. So I had 2 Wander Francos. I bought them for $5 each in San Diego last year. I sold one for 25 and I held this one because when you sell one card, I've covered my investment on Wander. I've made $15 total, and now I have one to sit on. If he homers twice tonight, then I can sit on that, sell that for 50. So I think that's a really good strategy. Buying 2, selling 1, buying 4, selling 2. But the thing is, like, I actually learned from Timmy's experience. If Timmy hadn't done that with Hero, I probably would have kept both Francos. And if he gets 4 strikeouts, that card's back to $3. That's how volatile the market is. But it's just all about learning, making progress. And I think that's, there's so much to learn in the hobby, but the fun stuff is learning. That's the enjoyment. Like, Timmy, I don't know what it is for you. What's your favorite part of the hobby? I think for me, it's just like, it's tracking cards on eBay. That's super fun. Like late at night, super fun. Like, I don't know, what gives you the most excitement out of the hobby, honestly?
Yeah, I think in the beginning, I know in this year, I would be on eBay like every single night, looking up all my card values, seeing where they are. Um, and then I kind of learned, like, if I'm not prepared to sell them, I shouldn't be looking them up every single night. So like with Tatis and Soto, like I'm holding on to those cards for a while. I'm
Yeah.
not prepared to sell them unless Soto goes to like 400. I'm going to sell and then wait for it to go down.
Yeah.
But I think Luke and I were at a park one day with a friend, and Soto comes up to bat, and we're like following it on ESPN. And on ESPN, the baseball, they kind of show the ball on the field, and it goes out. Soto hits a home run. That was his second of the night, and we just start screaming and running around the field.
That was crazy.
Yeah, just following players is really why I love it. One of my 2 biggest purchases, Luka Doncic and John Morant. I follow those guys religiously. I've become a Grizzlies fan. I've become a Mavs fan. Like, I root for these teams so hard. And another like Daniel Jones, the Giants are my favorite team. So I get to watch those. I mean, I get to watch the Giants and have even more writing on it because I really believe in Daniel Jones.
Yeah, I
I
think.
get a lot of hate for that.
Yeah, there's no like, it sounds like kind of cheesy, but like you're able to have those crazy moments. Like we were running around the park, like Arnav, our friend, can tell you it was crazy. It just gives you really fun moments. Like if someone had said the name Juan Soto to me 2 years ago, it would mean nothing to me. That's just, I'm not a baseball fan, but it allows me to become a baseball fan. It allows me to have these fun moments with my friends, Timmy and Arnav. It was just super cool. And I think that's what the sports cards market tells you. Yes, you're going to take losses. That's just the way it is. You're going to make profits too, and you're going to have some great experiences if you do your research, if you put in the time. And so speaking of putting in the time, I think we talked about variations. I think that would be really good to just break down for a couple minutes. I have a green refractor of a soccer player, Ruben Vargas. He's not very well known, but this is just good to get. This is a green refractor. So this is what a green card looks like compared to just a regular white card. So Timmy, what are some other color variations? What do color variations mean to just an average listener?
So color variations, I mean, there's just a difference in color. So like this would be a base card. This is a Justin Herbert that I got for Christmas.
Yeah.
Pack.
Big card.
And then my lighting is terrible. Okay.
Is that silver?
Can you see that rainbow color? So that's called a silver. So a Justin Herbert base card like this and a 10 is going for like $700-800 right now. I think the silver, which is kind of the rainbow one, I think it's going for like $5,000, $3,000, something crazy.
Any
and then
color has a multiplier to it. right? Yeah, go on,
Yeah.
Tim. Any color is going to be worth more than the base.
Yeah.
Historically.
But then in Prism, so there's like base cards like this, and then here's a Donovan Peoples-Jones. He went to Michigan. I'm a huge fan of him.
Yeah.
This is a red, white, and blue card. So this card in a Herbert is not going to be that much more because these red, white, and blues are guaranteed in some packs. So they're not going to be worth as much. And then there's something like this. This is one of my best cards. It's T. Higgins Green Scope.
Ooh.
Numbered to 75. So I'm a massive T. Higgins fan, massive believer in him and Joe Burrow. I think they're gonna do well together.
So there's a big difference between green scope numbered to 75, only 75 created, and red and white blue, which are put into every box. Like we touched on before, production is massive. The Joe Burrow 1/1 like could be is 1,000 times more valuable than like a regular $700 massively produced LeBron. LeBron stuff is always going to be expensive, but that stuff can be massively produced in a Joe Burrow 1/1. I mean, that stuff's in tens of thousands because it's so rare. That's why production and supply and demand means so much.
Yeah. Another thing I want to touch on before I forget is do not buy packs to make money. If you are going to buy a pack, expect to get nothing, because I was in a pack phase and I just kept going through packs and packs and packs and packs, and I was just losing so much money. And if you're doing it for the fun, packs are super, super fun to open. One of my friends, Billy, said this to me. He said the most fun part about getting packs is walking home with them. Like, it's all fun until like you spend $100. I mean, this Panini stuff, like Prism, like these Prism boxes are like $150 to get a card. This is pretty much the best card you could get out of a box.
They're more. They're gonna be more next year too.
It skyrockets. I mean, this card is worth like $150 raw. That is the best card you can get out of the box if you're not going to get a silver of him. I mean, you're basically starting by losing money and then maybe you make it back. But packs are just such an awful investment. So like this T. Higgins card, this card is one you'd find in a hobby box, which is a massive, massive box, which is worth like $2,000.
Crazy.
And that card I bought for $90. It was one of my biggest purchases. $90. That's a fraction, and that's like 3/5 of what a little box that maybe you pull a Herbert, and then you get like a Jalen Reagor as like your best card, and then you're really down. So buying singles is much better because you can kind of inspect the card and see if it's in good condition if you want to grade it. You can choose the card you want for a much lower price.
I think, and I think this is something Timmy knows as well, is that packs will provide you with a lot of fun. This doesn't mean don't buy packs. You have to buy packs with the assumption you're not going to make money. Like Timmy said, packs are super fun. They're really, I'm not going to lie, they're fun to everyone. They're fun to everyone because if you pull that 1/1 Luka Doncic, like it's game over, right? Yeah. But that's not going to, it's not going to happen. That's not going to
happen. Lottery.
But but you're going to have fun with your dad. You're going to have fun with your brother. You're going to have fun with your sister opening these packs, So there's just so many elements of the hobby. You can have fun, or you can stay up late, grinding through pages of eBay sales so you can make that extra dollar, or you could do both. That's what's super cool. You can do so much, which is super fun. And I think just to transition as well, you can buy packs online, which I don't entirely recommend unless you know like the seller personally, or you can buy packs at your local card show or card shop, which is something that me and Timmy have both done. I think if you're going to get into sports cards, definitely look up sports card shops near me. I think the experience is very cool. I've been going to, Timmy actually showed me the card shop. Timmy said, go to this guy, super cool. Now we're all on first name basis with him. And
Yeah.
I just sold him, I sold him the other Wander Franco and 2 Kevin Herters for $36. So I made a profit. He said he had a couple people who wanted to buy it off of him. He makes a profit. I haven't sold a card to him ever, but through creating a relationship with, a full year, he was able to trust me and I was able to say, hey, I have this Wander Franco. I know you like baseball. Would you be willing to buy it off me? He was like, yes. Can we make a deal? We made a sweet deal. So I think you can make connections. Networking is so important in the hobby. And I think, Timmy, if you want to touch on that a little more, it's just, having people who know more about the hobby, you can learn so much stuff just sitting in a card shop. It's just super cool. So I recommend, if you get in the hobby, type card shops near me and just drive 15 minutes, go see one, learn about it.
Yeah, I mean, last summer I used to just bike down to the shop and just hang out with the guy, Jordan. He's a super nice guy, and we just talk about cards. And
Yeah.
He's not a fan of PSA. He's a big raw guy, and I think sports cards used to be just pure raw cards, and
Yeah.
it's really evolved into this whole grading system, and it's very, I sent in cards for grading in November, and now it's July or it's June, and I still don't have them back, and I probably won't have them back in August.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to send them in.
Yeah.
Like if you have a Joe Burrow Prism card that's worth $100 on its own, you can send it in for, now it's $100 to send in a card. That's for like the base. That's the lowest amount. That's the cost it will be to get your card back in the most amount of time. And it could be worth $500 when you get it back, or he could suck. He could tear another ACL, and then it's worth less than what you sent it in for.
I mean, PSA, BGS, SGC are the 3 big card grading companies. I don't have any BGS or SGC, but this is PSA. It'll put your card in a slab, authenticate it, give it a grade, makes it more valuable. But right now, PSA especially, but everyone is just getting backlogged. I mean, the influx of people in the hobby have just created massive backlogs. All the people realize if you grade cards and you get a good grade, that's how you get the most money. That's how you make these crazy amounts of money. And that's what, gives you those profits that you see, those $100 to $1,000 profits. That's through grading, but that's not really possible anymore. Honestly, when you think about it, when we got in, it cost like $35 to grade. It was originally 22 maybe, then it went to like 35 and we were like, oh, that kind of sucks. Then it went to like 50 and now it's gotten out of control.
And we were so mad at 50. I mean, it's 100 now, and the 100 isn't even open because they have to grade all of these cards that have been sent in over the past like 8 months, and they don't have time. Or you could pay like $300. There's service levels. You can pay more to get your card back faster. I mean,
so much money though.
And then they create these like they don't create it. It's like what's it called?
Different types of.
It's like what's the value of your card?
Oh.
Like if I have a Michael Jordan card, 86 Fleer, which is the card.
Like estimated value?
Yeah, estimated value. I can't send in a Jordan at $100. I have to send it in at like $5,000 because the PSA 10 cost is going to be like $330,000.
Yeah.
So I have to spend $5,000 to send that in. It's really messed up, the whole PSA process.
It's
Flipping raw is a lot easier and saves a lot of time.
It does.
Or you just buy PSA cards. It's a lot more expensive, but it saves a lot of work.
Yeah. PSA is, they've realized an opportunity to make money just because with this influx, but now they can't even capitalize on that because they're so backlogged that people are thinking, maybe I'll go to the second best grading company, the third best grading company, the fourth best grading company, which creates a very interesting dynamic, which I think people can pounce on. Maybe if you see undervalued cards of the third tier grading company and you think PSA is never going to get out of this backlog, which is a distant possibility. I see them getting out of it realistically just because they're a multi-million-dollar company, but there's a chance they just don't bounce back from this and no one sends cards to it. And then BGS and SGC become the next big thing. And I think that's, a major investment strategy that people can look into. So everything that happens in the hobby creates margins of profit and deficits that are, what make it so interesting to get in. But the fun part is trying to find those profits. So I think that's what's really cool. And then just to wrap it up, Timmy, I think maybe if you could talk about position players in football. I think you have that T. Higgin. So why is the receiver so much less valuable than a quarterback, even though T. Higgins is just as good as a lower level quarterback? The lower level quarterback will be more expensive.
Yeah, I would say because the quarterback is just involved in every play, and it's the team's performance is always going to be reflected on the quarterback.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, quarterbacks win MVP, receivers don't win MVP. Or like Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry had an insane season, but Rodgers still won MVP. Who performed better at their position relative to others? I would say Derrick Henry performed better at his position, better at the running back position than Rodgers did compared to the other quarterbacks. But Rodgers is going to win it because Rodgers is ultimately commanding the offense. Whereas, like, if T. Higgins does really, really well, if T. Higgins has if he goes 15 for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns, he's going to get recognition. But if Joe Burrow in that game goes 50 for 50 with 500 yards and 7 touchdowns, T. Higgins is going to be overshadowed. Like, the receiver is always going to be overshadowed by the quarterback's performance. Same with running backs.
Yeah.
And there's just more consistent production from quarterbacks. I know if any of you play fantasy football, you know that wide receivers have off weeks. I mean, take a guy like Russell Wilson. He has DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. Russell Wilson's going to keep producing, but Tyler Lockett will have one crazy game and then will be silent another game.
Yeah.
And there's just consistent performance from the quarterback, which just doesn't really happen with the running back or the receiver.
Yeah. I think a major thing to note is someone like Kyle Trask, who the Buccaneers have drafted to be, the heir apparent, the replacement, but who isn't going to play for a long period of time, I would estimate, is going to be more expensive than T. Higgins when his rookie card comes out, just because he's a quarterback and he has that long-term value that people say, oh, he's going to be behind Tom Brady. He's going to learn from Tom. He's going to get even better. T. Higgins, he's a good receiver. He's not the best receiver in his class right now. I don't believe he's not the best receiver. And so Kyle Trask is going to be more expensive than T. Higgins. That's why quarterbacks, they rule football when it gets down to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do your research. Just really know what you're buying before you buy. I got burned on packs. I wasn't educated about packs. Just do your research on every part of the card market. I mean, I probably did 8 to 10 hours of research before I started buying. Gary V said to do 50 hours. He's right. I mean, do research until it becomes boring to you, because you have to know every single angle, every single thing in the card market before you can start buying, because you will get burned.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's very cutthroat. It's very fun. It's amazingly fun, but it's going to be cutthroat. You're going to take losses, but how do you minimize those losses? Not by doing 2 hours of research and then jumping in head first and buying cards that are not valuable. I see people buy these cards and I'm like, ooh, don't do that. That's a bad grading service. That's a bad set. That's a bad player sometimes. So I think, like Timmy said, do your research. It's going to be incredibly fun. and, hopefully get some information from this video. Definitely expect more sports card videos to come out. Timmy is going away at camp, unfortunately, unless the comments blow up and tell him to stay. Then he will stay. No.
If we get 200 subscribers by tomorrow, I won't go to camp.
200 subscribers by tomorrow. Wow. I think it can happen. Timmy, he's got to stay. He's got to stay.
Let's hit 100. Let's hit it to 100 tomorrow.
We need 100. Yes. But thank you for listening. Sports cards is super fun. Thank you for coming on, Timmy. Just super excited to keep researching, keep putting out videos on sports card content. Yeah. Sweet. Thank you, Timmy.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.